We're going to start our explorations at the historic site of Swansea, California. It's a good place to air down our tires and look over the one partial building and a smelter foundation, which is all the remains of this once thriving town. Swansea was a boom town on the eastern shore of Owens Lake, grown through the success of the silver mining operations of the nearby Cerro Gordo mines in the late 1860s. Swansea became a hub for smelting the ore and transporting the ingots to Los Angeles, over 200 miles away. The smelter operated from 1869 until 1874. The 1872 Lone Pine earthquake damaged the smelters and uplifted the shoreline, leaving the Swansea pier inaccessible by the steamships of Owens Lake. And so most of the smelting and transportation business moved to the new boomtown of Keeler, about a mile to the south. And then in the summer of 1874, a flash flood covered Swansea under feet of water and rock and sand. By then the town had been mostly deserted anyway, and the debris flow put the final nail in the coffin, so to speak. It marked the end of Swansea. And as we said, today there's just one partial building and a smelter foundation, all that remain of the once thriving Swansea, once on the shore of now dry Owens Lake. Owens Lake is mostly dry these days in the Owens Valley on the eastern side of the Sierra Nevada mountains in Inyo County. It is south of the town of Lone Pine. And unlike most dry lakes in the region that have been dry for thousands of years, Owens Lake held significant water until 1913, when much of the Owens River was diverted into the Los Angeles Aqueduct, causing Owens Lake to empty by 1926. Today, some of the flow of the river has been restored and the lake now contains some water. Nevertheless, as of 2013, it is the largest single source of dust pollution in the United States. The way we planned our trip, we met up with some hiker friends down in the town of Lone Pine, and now we're traveling together on this first leg of the journey. We're heading from the 3,600-foot elevation at Swansea high into the Inyo Mountains. We plan to camp at about 10,000 feet. Tomorrow the hikers will take off on their own journey. They want to conquer several peaks. We'll be heading on south toward the remains of the salt tram and then on to the Cerro Gordo ghost town. Let's talk about the aerial tramway. First, some background. The Saline Valley is large and deep. It's an arid sink about 27 miles long in the northern Mojave Desert of California. These days, most of it lies within Death Valley National Park. The valley's lowest elevations are about 1,000 feet, and it lies in the rain shadow of both the Sierra Nevada and Inyo mountain ranges to the west. In the 1870s until 1895, borax was mined here, and then salt mining began in 1903 and continued into the 30s. An electrically powered aerial tramway was built in 1911 to carry the salt 13.5 miles from the valley floor in Saline Valley to the 8,500-foot level over the top of the Inyo Mountains, and then back down again to 3,600 feet in the Owens Valley to Keeler, California. It operated sporadically from 1913 to 36, but ultimately it proved to be too expensive to run. The aerial tramway today is on the National Historic Register of Historic Places, and it was the steepest tramway ever constructed in the U.S. Unfortunately, in recent years, it's been badly damaged by vandals. Let's take a look. Well, we've made it to Cerro Gordo. Unfortunately, our reservation for a tour of the Cerro Gordo mines was canceled. We were disappointed as we crested the hill and looked down because fire trucks and personnel were still mopping up from a fire that had started earlier that day. We stopped and asked a young man who was nearby what was burning, and he said, "Everything burned." However, friends who've been there tell us there is still plenty left to see, but for us it's going to have to wait for another excursion as fire personnel asked us not to linger but rather to move on. Now, the Cerro Gordo mine really isn't a single mine, rather it's a collection of abandoned mines near Lone Pine. Mining operations began in 1866 and they didn't stop till 1957. It produced high-grade silver, lead, zinc ore, and even some gold. Some ore was smelted here at the site, but larger capacity smelters were constructed along the shore of nearby Owens Lake. These smelting operations were the beginnings of the towns of Swansea and Keeler, and most of the metal ingots produced there were transported to Los Angeles, as we've already indicated. Transportation difficulties hindered the success of these mines. Mining of silver and lead peaked in the early 1880s, when a second mining boom produced zinc in the 1910s as well. Mining of silver and lead peaked in the early 1880s, and there was a second mining boom producing zinc in the 1910s. An aerial tramway sent ore from the mines downhill to smelters along the lakeshore, and foundations can still be seen. In fact, in some areas, the aerial tramway still has ore carts hanging way up in the sky. Consulting a good map shows many dirt roads and jeep trails to explore this area. We happened to see this track toward the Estelle mine and headed up into the hills. The Estelle apparently produced mainly lead, but also some gold and silver. And by the way, one of our party, Addison, headed off down the lateral tunnel by himself, and we spent several harrowing minutes frantically calling and looking for him till we figured out where he was. So make sure everyone in your party stays together, and make sure your flashlights are fully charged. Modern LED lights don't go dim when the battery goes low, they just go dark. Rather disconcerting when you're several hundred feet inside a mine tunnel. At least we could see the exit off in the distance. Alright, here we can see. It's cool. Hello, 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 hello. Good. Addison? Addie! So this is where they had machinery in here. Foundation for machinery. And set up here. So you can tell it was exhaust, and then it goes way back in there. Good for a flashlight. Look right here. I'm going to keep going. We've gotten off of Highway 395 at the Manzanar internment camp. It was unfortunate that due to COVID-19 we weren't able to take a tour. In 1942, the United States government ordered more than 110,000 men, women, and children to leave their homes and detained them in remote military-style camps. Manzanar War Relocation Center was one of 10 camps where Japanese American citizens as well as resident Japanese aliens were incarcerated during World War II. Also known as the Manzanar Airport and Inyo County Airport, across 395 from the Manzanar camp, it's the Manzanar Airfield, one of the best-kept secrets of Highway 395. So I think where we're going is up in the hills. There's two roads, one there, over there. Oh, my land. several different stories on how it came into being. One of the main theories is the airport was built in the early 1940s for bomber pilot training in aircraft emergencies. Others feel it was built as a fallback field to be used by U.S. forces in the event of a Japanese invasion of the West Coast during World War II. By mid-1942, the airport was reported to be the largest in this valley, with planes as large as the B-24 landing and taking off. The airfield consisted of two 4,800-foot-long concrete runways, one of which has a parallel taxiway. Various hangars, shops, and operations buildings were situated along the outskirts. The airfield was abandoned by the county in 1956. When a mine has its own TripAdvisor and Facebook page, you know that it's got to be a popular destination. So why is the Reward Mine, also known as the Brown Monster Mine, such a draw? Well, because you can actually drive into the mine and roam miles of underground tunnels from within the safety of your four-wheel drive vehicle. The drive-in ability of the Reward Mine has made it the photo feature story of just about every 4x4 magazine and YouTuber and off-road blogger out there. With 82,900,000 search results on Google, you'd think we could find some history or a map of the tunnel workings, but not much information is available. One thing seems apparent: the complex was a major gold producer when it was active in the 1860s all the way through 1959, when figures said over $300,000 in 1930s money was produced here. Reward Mine is actually a complex of several claims over multiple decades, all chasing the 4 to 12 foot thick brown monster vein for gold, silver, copper, and lead. The complex consists of at least 26 mapped adits across 4 or more canyons. Majority of the adits are in Eclipse Canyon, and this is the area of the reward that's popular for hikers and adventurers because of the multiple tunnels and ore bins and aerial tram and other artifacts found high into the canyon. We just scratched the surface in our exploration of this mine shaft. That's where we're going. Yep. Well, that's about it for this trip. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel. Hopefully many more expeditions to come, and we'll do our best to share them with you.
Hey everybody, this is Ariel the Jeep Dog. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button down there.